All right. Time for the morning recap. Interesting trading day as always. First things first, a little housekeeping. The VIP form is now down. Uh, Join us on Friday maybe for top quiz. Maybe you'll get another chance to put another chance at becoming one of the Top Step VIP people. Okay, jumping into the charts, we really focused a lot on the Nasdaq, so we're really going to focus a lot on the Nasdaq on the recap, the morning recap here. So we know that on the 30-minute chart here, we did open in range and in value from yesterday. There was a little bit of news, a little bit more what increasing of hostilities overseas between Russia and that whole situation. So the market really started to take a dive before the open. We left the opening range at the high of the session. Typically, when there's no outside influence or news, that's going to be an opportunity for me to relax and look for better trade locations as the day goes on. But unfortunately, the opening range was the dead high of the S&P and in the Nasdaq, which as a rule says I'm only looking for shorts. It's seller control right off the open. As long as that remains true, we're only looking for shorts, at least early in the session. So I think we did a pretty good job of trying to find a way to get into the downside move. There were a couple of levels that were pointed out by Jerome, by me, by Jay, that might have been some decent opportunities to get into it. And I want to go into the 3-minute chart, which is Jay's preferred chart first, and take a look at one of those levels that we were looking at for an opportunity for us to get into a market that was already moving in a particular situation. So we have the opening range, the dead high of the day. That's that first minute was left at the high. That's our first warning. Hey, you know what? There's probably more sellers in this market than than we originally thought. And of course, with that news, um, you know, um, about Ukraine and Russia, that was an uncertainty, and markets don't like uncertainty. And when markets are fearful or they're feeling uncertain, they do have a tendency, of course, to push lower. We also know that traders also have pretty short memories sometimes. So the market starts to crack, and we get an opportunity where we saw a low volume node right around here, right around where was that? Where was that low volume node? It was right around 67, 670, 665, that area. So that was one of the areas that I was looking at and was showing everybody, you know what? When the market is directional, I find that going up against low volume nodes, and again, that area was like 670, 665 at the time. We still have a kind of a low volume node there, right at 67, 673. We showed the market really just kind of consolidating there for a period of time. And it was at the top end of this where we were really looking at that low volume node and a potential for an opportunity to get into this directional move to the downside. We had anchored VWAP above price pointing lower. We had session VWAP above price going lower. It was all there were a lot of nuances and reasons to think that this market could actually continue this push to the downside. Well, we missed a couple of opportunities to get in short, and we just tried to kind of hold on to the idea that we really want to stay patient. We don't want to be looking for longs until proven wrong. So while we missed the move to the downside, we started looking actually a pretty decent area for potential longs. If we're gonna close this in a little bit, this was for yesterday's session low, approximately 20,519 and a quarter. So our first long that we attempt was to hold against yesterday's low and the previous day's low. That long was approximately 20,532. 532. I've got a little arrow here that kind of points out where we were looking at. We did not succeed in having a winning trade on that opportunity. We actually took a loss relatively close to the low of the session. Now the market, where did the low of the session come in? Came in at the previous session's sort of settlement price right around here, 20,493 before we started to see buyers coming back into the market. So now we were looking for a 3 bar reversal on the 5 minute chart. Well, we actually ended up really kind of getting a 3 bar reversal on the 3 minute chart here. So the next long was right here, long number two. Well, on that first loss, the house account lost about $1,890. No big deal. The next one, we kind of preempted along on what we thought was going to be more of a reversal pattern here. We got long right about 20,534 ish. We looked at it, we thought better of it. We took a little bit of heat on it. We thought, maybe we're a little preemptive here. We did get out at a small loss there, and then we finally started to see the market continuing to try and push to the upside. Now on this 3 minute chart, let me size this. Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. On this 3 minute chart, Jay noticed uh this bar right here was the highest volume bar that pushed to the downside. A lot of sellers came into the market and were probably continuing to hold those positions. As we continued to push off those lows, Jay was like, if we can't hold the high of that bar, we're going to have a whole lot of traders trapped short in the lows. The laggards, the ones that are the last ones to the party, are always going to be the ones that are the laggards that are selling into the lows. So we actually ended up taking a decent long here that was right around, this was our third attempt here, our third long at 20,565. We kind of flopped around a little bit. We ended up with two contracts on, and then we started to continue to push this market higher. We put in the VWAP off the low here, which really wasn't part of the issue or part of the decision making in this trade. It was the fact that we were unable to maintain price below the high end of the high of this bar. That it was 567. We're along 565. We hold. We get out of one of them at session VWAP, anchored session VWAP right there, right around 20,603 was our exit. Then we got out of the second one, right, oh, 26, 24 after we put in this and we started pulling up off that high, because this was back to that area where we were potentially looking for potential shorts earlier in the session. Then we start to look at possible new long areas. This was their area we were looking for earlier, where we took those two longs. What kind of tripped us up was the anchored VWAP pinch that Jay pointed out. We have the anchored VWAP on the low bar. We have the anchored VWAP on the opening bar. We were kind of stuck between them, and we broke down below them. So that was maybe a little bit of a shocker. The market did come halfway through the highest volume down bar on the way down, and it's been all buyers ever since. We've come all the way back up to the level or the area where we were looking to get into potential shorts earlier in the session, up around 670. Now, where do we go to? Well, what is this afternoon pullback low? What is that telling us? That afternoon pullback low on the big rally yesterday was the furthest pullback of the entire session that occurred later on in the afternoon. I put these on the charts all the time. Notice your afternoon pullback highs and lows, folks. Where did the market trade back to? What was support is now experiencing a degree of resistance. We've yet to take out the opening range high or the opening range of the session here. We should, by all means, still be looking at the opportunities to possibly look for shorts in this afternoon pullback low here. What a wonderful opportunity. That is the deepest pullback from the previous day, afternoon pullback low. Is this going to be a morning pullback high today? Now, there was one other market that I wanted to take a look at this morning because I thought there was a wonderful opportunity. And this is a great opportunity based off of the initial balance extreme Okay. So here's the 7:30 bar. Here's the 8 o'clock bar. If you were going to be looking at the market opening at 7:20 and then the next and then the opening the initial balance ending at 8:20, it looks a little bit different. The initial balance high was closer um to closer to here. This one I think would have been the initial balance high. When the market left and started trading above the initial balance high, it came back to the initial balance high almost by just a couple of ticks. And once it rejected that initial balance high again, it's been all buyers ever since. This market has rejected the opening initial balance and is continuing to try and push price high. The new hostilities in Ukraine and Russia have anything to do with this? Yes, it probably does. But that initial balance high, the failing to come back inside and reaccept inside that initial balance high was really the technical level or the signal that would have put you possibly into some pretty decent longs on this push to the upside here in gold. So now, what one of the things about our tip of the week this week is fundamental information. What fundamental information can we use to look for opportunities? And there were a couple of different things as far as fundamental information. The potential increase in hostilities in Ukraine and Russia. I would also call some fundamental information is the Nvidia earnings due out after the close today. All of that is going to be affected instance, a lot of traders and investors' minds are going to be changing on a lot of that information that comes out at these times. So don't forget, folks. Really appreciate everybody being here. I hope they're helping everybody and making a difference in your trading. We do have George I coming up for the next segment here on Power Players. George currently working his way back into the funding level in two trading combines, made 2,420 in one of them, lost a little bit in the other one. But we're very excited to talk to him about his trading strategy and what he's doing to get back into that funded account. Folks, a great rest of the day, great session. I will see you later on. Trade well, everybody. And don't forget to remain humble, grateful, creative, and centered in your trading. Oh, and pray for peace.